We're here with another segment of Wet Your Palate. We got a special guest today, Zaylan Jacobsen. We're very happy to have you on the show. You had some amazing stories about what you've created to help the world of hospitality, connecting suppliers, and really anybody in the system of selling wine and bringing education to the forefront, especially for a younger generation. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. But man, we talked about a hell of a lot of other stuff. It wasn't just about what you're doing to change this industry, your history, what you're motivated by. African wines or Namibian wines. I mean, yeah, we learned a lot.
Yeah, and we got to get a little bit of your stories, like your background in the restaurant industry. I feel like we all have them, your bartending tales, if you will, worth listening to. But I think it's like built the path of, a big thing of what you're doing is building people's confidence. I think empowering people out there to be able to have the confidence to go to a table and speak about not only the restaurant knowledge, but also the brands, wine, anything else that they're trying to give a great experience to the guests for.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground, got into all things NiteCapp and touched my history in the industry, my history in entrepreneurship, and even got to touch on some travel stories with Africa. And then my favorite topic, got into the mountains a little bit. So
the mountains, dude.
I think we had a good...
did was just hit Mount St. Helena, right?
That's
when
right.
You got here?
7:40 a.m. Yeah, left San Francisco at 6, got there at 7:40, on trail at 8, and I always like to see a place, and the best place to see a place is the highest point you can go.
Yeah,
you can get the whole visibility, and then it all kind of clicks from there. Now, my whole time in the valley, I'm like referencing that first view, and I'm going, okay, I'm here now in that picture that I was just looking at.
You got literally the lay of the land.
Yeah, the whole lay of the land.
Yo, 100%. If you want to get high with us and Zaylan, then tune in, all right?
Let's go.
The high point. Something like that, right? Is that
the high
cool?
point.
All right, thank you again.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
But yeah, my oldest daughter's in the Marines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's a badass, doing awesome. So she's
Crushing records.
Yeah,
Wow.
Like beating the boys.
Beating the boys.
Like with the physical
pull-ups
side,
and stuff?
or-
Yeah.
And
Pull-ups? She's been
and they scrap.
That's
She
amazing.
wraps like a 45-pound dumbbell on her waist and does like 50 pull-ups.
Oof, wow.
I was like, what is?
Savage.
Yeah, like I can't even do one.
Yeah.
She's also
Without
like
a weight.
Yeah.
She's also the sweetest,
Yeah.
sweetest heart.
I did ask her because she'll
she could kick
go
ass
out.
and be nice.
Yeah, she'll go out with like friends and stuff and like dresses girly and all that stuff. And I'm like, so what is it like when a guy comes up to you and you guys are talking and then say, oh, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm a Marine. She's like, they all laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't believe it.
It's like they don't believe it.
Yeah.
And then,
She's got to like pull out pictures of like,
Yeah.
no, this is me on like every other day of the week.
and then she judo throws them.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, I believe you. This is pretty cool.
Okay, so it wasn't a soft open. That was a cold open. All right, so
You don't say it.
it was a hard open. How about that?
It's not a hard,
open.
That wasn't hard, dude. It's not soft. We're just chatting it up. All right, what are you doing? What are we doing?
Well, welcome to Go With Your Palate,
Oh.
where you got me and my co-host, Chris Fat Mario Rubio, and I'm Joe Wagner, talking about wine. In particular, on this episode, we're talking about wine. We're talking about some details in the future of marketing wine and education. And for that, we have the co-founder and CEO of NiteCapp, which we're super excited about, Zaylan Jacobsen. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. First time in Napa. I'm excited to be here.
Is your first time at a winery too?
It is, yeah. First time.
That's
for a
awesome.
lot.
Well, I'm glad we got to bust the cherry for you.
Yeah.
No, that's a hard open.
It's a hard open.
All good.
We do
This
try
is
to
not-
keep it professional, but have some fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're talking about wine, entrepreneurship, and whatever the fuck else. So you kind of fit all the boxes.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, what I want to talk about really is where you're at, what you're doing, but what led you to this? Because I think what you're doing is, well, maybe I'll do a little plug for IMI, which is a beverage consulting group, and they work with a number of larger operators, right? So like Hilton Hotels, Four Seasons, number of chain restaurants, and they kind of streamline the process, but they've also really streamlined the process for us as a supplier to get the information out there. Now you're kind of layering something into that that is more education based.
That's
with,
right.
with NiteCapp.
Yeah, just getting education directly from suppliers to frontline workers, and then also connecting them to the operator as well, so that operator can also send education down to the front line.
It's awesome. Was IMI was pretty excited about this?
Yeah, definitely. They came in and became a part of it, and it's been great being able to work closely with their team, because years of experience beyond me that has been really formative in the direction that we're taking everything.
Because I mean, knowledge is power, but knowledge is sales, right? Like if you have just a bit of information about any given wine, or one wine that kind of tickles your fancy, and you're going tableside, I mean, just that one tidbit of knowledge is the difference maker, and the ease of getting that knowledge. Yeah. It hasn't gotten to where I thought it'd be yet, but it sounds like you're at the forefront of that. You're the first one doing this on a scale.
Yeah, I think that right now the onus is really on that frontline worker for them to go and chase things down, like go to this spec sheet, go to this website, go to this trade academy, go to that YouTube video, go to this LMS. Like there's tons of content that's out there, but we're really trying to bring it to them in a format that is by research what the younger generation wants to be communicated with, which is shorter form video, things that are more quick and interactive. So that's where we're really trying to take things, because I'm in total agreement. Knowledge equals sales. And also before that, it equals just confidence, the ability to go up and not feel nervous when you're walking up to a table. And I think particularly with wine, people not only don't sell it, they avoid it by any means necessary. I know that when I was working in the industry, I worked with a lot of people like that, because they're afraid that someone's going to ask them a question that they don't know. And that's pretty terrifying if it's a group of 8 that's out on a business meeting or something. So you do whatever is in your power to not have to answer a question about wine or spirits. So I think there's a lot of room to improve how that whole process works.
Do you think that the education and like you said, confidence, I think that's a great way to describe it, that confidence is less now than it even was when you were working in the service industry?
Yeah, I would say so.
Less now?
I think we're kind of on a downhill trajectory as far as my experience has been being in the hospitality industry. I'm finding less people that are super knowledgeable and excited and passionate about their products. If you go to the right restaurants and hotels and bars, you'll definitely still find that, but not as much. Maybe I'm dining in the wrong places, but I haven't seen too much of that.
No, I've seen it. I mean, it's even let alone the details of any given wine, but having a server try to open a bottle with a cork. Like I've seen the struggle of that, and even like a simple video showing this is how you use a regular ass corkscrew. That's something that like the managers are. They used to teach that, right? And they used to do like pre-shift where you'd have a winemaker or a sales rep go in and talk about a handful of wines, taste everybody on the wines, give them a couple tidbits so that they can go out to the table and sell the hell out of it, and give the guests a great experience, but also bring a little more revenue into the restaurant and increase their tips. Yeah. You rarely see that now. So your platform, tell me about, like, I love that you're talking short form video, meeting that person, that younger generation server that is, they need that information to be able to sell. You're meeting them where they're at. And so you're doing that just based on data that you've seen, that this is how they want to digest information.
Yeah, and we take the whole food and beverage inventory for that specific location, and we create a digital version of it. So you can find all of your specs for cocktails or food specs, every wine or spirit or beer that's in your inventory. So it's basically, the goal of it starting out was, what is every bit of information a worker could possibly need, and how do you just put that at their fingertips so that there's no excuse to not have perfect product knowledge. And that's where the initial spark for NiteCapp was years before it was called NiteCapp, where we had built what we currently have today. And it was working at a restaurant in Cambridge, that their expectation for a frontline worker that was going to be on the floor was perfection. There was you can't not answer any questions about a food item or a beverage item and have it as an answer. It's like, if you didn't get perfect product knowledge, you're not going onto the floor. And that was a paradigm shift for me. I'd never been at a place that had that kind of expectation. And so I immediately started thinking, first of all, I need to build a tool to help me get to this level or I'm not going to get hired here. So that's where I started like playing around with trying to build some sort of an app to get me up to speed to work there. But most importantly, I realized that through technology, this is a standard that could be replicated all over the world. But you have to build a tool that makes it easy enough so that the Frontline doesn't have an excuse to not know everything. So it digitizes everything for them, food and beverage wise, access to short form videos, access to courses that can be from their suppliers or from like their operating parent company, or at the property itself can build out training courses if they want as well. And then just information about where they work, kind of the outlets if they're working at a hotel and floor plans, things like that.
So you're doing menu, food details as well.
Yeah, full. Yeah, well, you don't have to. If you're working with us, you already have something that you use for food recipes. You can turn that off. We've made it very modular. So if you want to turn on checklists to do your standard operating procedures through NiteCapp, you can, but you don't have to. So our main crux of what we're trying to accomplish is beverage education and being able to be the really scalable platform for that. But if you want to do all these other items and operations for your food and bev, you totally can through NiteCapp as well.
Are you able to utilize like AI? Like, so the supplier loads information on their given products.
Yep.
And then you're taking that, let's keep it just a wine. You're taking that wine list. Are you just scanning that and then it automatically pops up, or are you having to manually input a connection between the supplier's information and the beverage menu?
So the goal is to put the ownership about the beverage products, the information that the Frontline sees, in the hands of the supplier, right?
Yep.
So most of the time someone's trying to find out something new about a wine or a spirit, they're going to potentially Google it, and then you don't know who's the one that's really putting that information in there. It could be some various websites, so everybody's speaking about it a little bit differently, but the onus of the products that the Frontline is seeing are controlled profiles from the suppliers.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it gets sped up over time, but it is a little bit of manual work still to get all that product information into the app for the Frontline's hands. But it's faster as we continue to grow our database of beverage items. Now, when somebody new comes on, they might also carry one of your wines, and you've already added all that information, so it's as easy as just clicking that wine and it populates instead of having to put in anything new into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So kind of evergreen, but also updatable by the supplier.
Yeah.
And
yep. Yeah, exactly.
So do you think that suppliers are going to kind of go in and adjust every vintage, or is this more kind of top line information so you don't get bogged? You don't bog that person in the front of the house down with too much detail. Mm-hmm. Like what are you seeing as kind of what people are inputting, what they're focusing on?
Well, Frontline education is interesting because you're thinking not about communicating to a consumer. It's like a secondary message. So you're trying to communicate something to someone that then's going to communicate something to somebody else. So it changes the way that you should be making content into something that's very repeatable and easy to memorize. So 100% to your point, yeah, you don't need to go into every vintage and every detail. It's too much to remember, and it doesn't make somebody more confident to go up to the table. So it's more of like, what are the 3 or 4 things that you want someone really to know about your winery or your specific brand that you want them to be able to repeat? And so some of the suppliers we're working with, some of them already have content, but others are having to completely reshoot content because everything they've made so far has been for a consumer. Mm-hmm. And it's just a different form. It's a different battleground that you're working with. So
very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, quick things that are quick, easy to memorize, that are gonna, just picturing that when you're going through the content shooting process of what does a Frontline worker need to know? What are the 3 little sales tips or that really interesting fact about this wine that will make the guest laugh or something like that they probably are not armed well with right now and are not going to be armed well by just watching a consumer facing video that's a little bit different. So.
Yeah, and are you also correlating the menu items to beverages that you'd recommend to pair with?
Food items, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is there,
so you
so
can
it's
see
like
pairing suggestions.
It's like things. You pull up Quilt Cabernet, and like at this specific restaurant, we recommend this with the ribeye or the whatever pasta dish.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's already, you got that embedded.
Yeah. So pairing suggestions, things like that. And then what I'm really excited about is all this food and beverage data that we have for each local property that we're working with, we can build a chat experience on top of that, which now that's the real utilization of AI for the frontline worker, is for them to be able to ask anything about any of their products. And so just super fast information to get into their hands. So,
Wow.
yeah,
man.
that's what we're trying to make the norm. Because then again, you have no excuse at your operation to not have your team have perfect product knowledge and a great guest experience. And I think that's what's going to help the industry stay, the hospitality industry instead of the automation industry, and like all the push towards server robots and things I think there's a place for them in some locations, and they're great for some of like the busing routes and things if you're just dropping plates off and getting more time for staff to be with the guests. But for those that are considering like replacing their staff with robots, I don't think you ever would do that if your staff were knowledgeable and you could witness how they transform the check averages of each table, because they know how to guide an experience. And it's kind of a crazy thought too, to think that someone that's your guest sitting down in your home should be leading the experience as far as choosing what to eat and drink. Like, it kind of makes sense. You give them a menu and they decide, but really, if someone's sitting down there in front of you and you're a server or bartender, you should make that the expectation of like, they're looking for my leadership. I'm supposed to guide them through something. So I hope that we can keep that as like a very stronghold in the industry. And I think as AI and robotics proliferates, so is the desire for human connection in hospitality. So I think it's actually going to be a very, very good thing for the hospitality industry. As every number you call is not going to be a human anymore. That's going to increase this need to be like, I want to talk to somebody in person. Let me just go to the restaurant, go to the bar, hang out with people.
Yeah.
So I hope that industry, like, we stay very alive and connected.
I think it's already going that direction, as people have gotten so absorbed by all the tech, all of the phones, all the screens. You're seeing that desire for that human connection. More so. I think it's even like prevalent on dating sites or dating apps where people are like, you know what, I'm going old school. I'm going to go out to a bar and meet somebody the old-fashioned way, because I never got on a dating site, but it sounds like a nightmare. But no, I love the idea there, and I think that the leadership piece is super cool. One that's maybe underappreciated, underutilized. Where taking that leadership for your table and querying them on a couple, of their thoughts, and then giving them recommendations. I think that would definitely, and if you're seeing that in the data as far as the like higher rings for the table, I'd imagine that it goes as a very appreciated component of the experience.
For sure.
That's awesome. So you're just making it that much easier.
Yeah.
Just in time too, because I've been seeing the robots sneaking into the restaurants. Right now, they're just kind of dropping off food. That's how it all starts, you know. But they're looking for those jobs. They're looking to take over.
Dude, I get it at McDonald's. Okay, I get that. Like, if you can automate the full thing at McDonald's, but because people are just punching in orders and then throwing out.
But that's kind of what it is right now. If someone's coming to your table and they just say, "What can I get you?" then there's really no difference. You might as well plug it in on an iPad. Yeah. But if someone's coming up and be like, "Hey, like, so good to see you. Where are you from? Oh, you're from here. Oh, wow, you might like this," and really guiding and creating an experience, which is what hospitality is.
Make it the home. I like that.
Yeah, then you wouldn't be thinking about, we can just make this something they'd punch in on an iPad. It's two totally different worlds there.
Yeah. I think the app, I was going to say, like, when I took a little sneak peek at it and everything, it was like I had like this aha moment, because I have like the background in restaurant hospitality, the same. And I saw this thing, I was just like, duh. Like, why did it take this long? And thank you for finally doing something like this. The empowerment is unbelievable, because I worked at places like Hillstone Restaurant Group and for many years. And like, that was like, they were hardcore. There was like, they have everything so dialed in and to do. It was not abnormal for someone not to make it through training. It was like a week training. Yeah. But I remember there was like a salad that had like 52 ingredients that you had to remember. And I'm kind of older, but back in the day, we used these things, flashcards, and it was kind of cool. You'd have them different colors, and then you'd have like your menu item, and on the back, and you wrote them all too. That was always a fun night or two that like took to write all this stuff out. Yeah. And then, you just kind of like be going through your flashcards before your shift every day, and trying to go through it. And now to have like this program, and I was going to say this, a funny thing about the flashcards is I built all these flashcards when I first started training, and I kept them in this like black box. It looked really special, you know, like had a key and everything. And I was working in LA in Century City, and I went in for one of my shifts one day, and I left my box in my car, and someone broke into my car. And
Stole your flashcards.
they stole my flashcards. And then I had to call the cops and have them come over, and they're like, was there anything stolen? I was like, well, I had this box. And they're like, whoa, like, what was in it? I was like, well, the flashcards, and they're kind of meant a lot to me, you know what I mean? Like, it took me a lot of time to build these things. So anyways, I mean, they didn't care. And like,
you caught them because they ended up getting a job at that restaurant.
I know. They wanted the secret goods. They took my ships. They were like, we want his cards. But now all this like power is right there.
Yeah, it's cool that you use that as the example too, because that was that light bulb moment when I built. So the spark of the idea came from working in that restaurant with perfect product knowledge standards in Cambridge. But then when I actually built the product for the first time, I was working in Bellevue, and I was doing that exact same thing. I was staying up. I remember it specifically. It was 3 a.m. I was at my house in Renton, Washington, and I was just finished making my set of flashcards for my test the next morning.
Yeah.
And because I had just failed my food test that day before. And so I spent all this time, made all these flashcards, and 3 a.m. I'm looking at these flashcards after I finish it. I said, you know, there's a lot of people that would use these, very few people that would make these. I need to figure out how to digitize these. So that was the first feature that was ever built into this app, was just digital flashcards. And so it was just a fast way to learn and do quick studying from that. And then now we're years beyond that development wise, but that was the basis of it, was that initial just not wanting everyone to have to repeat the process of making those cards. So it's a cool example.
Well, it's more fun too when you see, and then you also, I saw that, I mean, you have like videos of, like if it goes to mixology, because bartending was kind of my gig, you know, and all this restaurant hospitality business. And also, like we're talking about human connection, it's nice to see someone real there, you know, and they're like, we're going to teach you like the techniques of like the bar spoon or something like that. These simple things that like, when you get there, if you're new and you don't have any experience with it, you're kind of like, why is this? And why is it spiral? And I see someone else and they're kind of doing this twirly thing. And then you're like, okay. And then, you know, it's just nice to have someone there explaining to you the reason why, the application of it. And then, you know, and then you feel, like you said, I like how you brought up the confidence. That's what's nice is to bring the confidence back and have people feel comfortable about using these things. And it's cool to see it explained to you like that.
Yeah, as you may know, like a big part of our business is on premise. So like restaurants are about half of our business, which for any wine portfolio, that's a very out of whack proportion.
Yeah.
We love it because I look at that as like the best way to market your wine. You get it by the glass, you elevate that experience for the customer, and you know everybody in the process looks good and has a good time. And so I look at that as a huge focus for us. And anytime something like this comes up where we can educate, and it's on a scale too. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where we mainly are living right now, is in those national accounts. So we work with one group at a time, basically onboarding their suppliers and sourcing content from all of them. So we just launched with a new hotel group that has about 60 properties. So it can be hard to estimate all the users inside of them sometimes, but about 10 to 20 per hotel typically in that realm, because not all of them have big outlets or anything inside of them. But yeah, we just onboard one group at a time and then activate all their properties and pull all the content from their supplier list and then put it into the hands of their frontline, because we realize like the suppliers have all the detailed knowledge and stories about their products, and by the time it actually ends up getting to the frontline through the distributor, then through the corporate operator, then to the property operator, then maybe to the front line. Finally, if it even gets there, it's very diluted and not usually what the supplier is trying to communicate anyways. So bridging that gap has been an important thing for us.
Is there some sort of a tracker as well, as far as you have a user, the person on the front line, a user, they've got a username, password, I assume, so they have their own account. Now, is there a way for their management to actually view and say, you know, Chris, you've never even gotten on the portal. Yeah. And so what the hell? So okay.
Both at the corporate level. So if you are managing a portfolio of 50 properties, you can oversee everything going on. And then if you're on the property, then you have your own dashboard to manage your local team as well.
That'll weed out the people that are lazy.
Yeah,
that's
for
good.
Sure.
Yeah. Get the real pros in there. So yeah, and you were inspired to do this from just working in the service industry for how long?
It was 7 years. I worked as a server, bartender, and then finally a manager before I ended up switching into this with more of my time. And so yeah, I've worked at 7 restaurants in the Sumner area where I grew up, and then Seattle area, particularly in Bellevue, I worked for a while. And then I worked at 2 or 3 restaurants out in Boston also. So kind of spent a good amount of time in the industry, and I was trying to start multiple other kinds of technology companies as I was working in the industry. So fintech and then creator economy tech. And I didn't realize the importance of what they call founder market fit until I started working on this. And so the customers I was trying to sell into with the creator economy tech in particular, I didn't speak their language. I'm not a creator myself. And so you find pretty quickly that there's common shared language within the hospitality industry. And you can kind of tell when someone didn't work in the industry before. They don't say certain things, or they don't pick up on just being able to say like something as simple as on the fly, like in a sales conversation. People are like, oh, this guy, like or 86 that, like something that you just drop in there that makes you be able to connect with them. So once I paired my desire to work and create technology with an industry that I really knew and have been in for a long time, that's when the entrepreneurial path opened up a lot more from there.
And how did you get your tech experience?
Yeah, just myself, just working on products. I think the best way to learn is to just try to start things. So, I just had been working on different products that had been requested of me. Someone asked me to build an app for them, and I agreed to build the app for them, and I had no idea how to do it, and I didn't have money to pay anybody to do it, so I just learned how to do it.
Like writing code?
No, so I was using a number of different tools, like no-code tools, and so it's like a level of abstraction up from that for sure, but it allowed me to understand the whole process of doing like information architecture of where all the screens are going to be laid out, how this action is going to lead to this happening. So it was a lot of like understanding databases and understanding user experience design, user interface design, product management, essentially everything except for coding, which worked really well for bringing the first couple of products I ever built to life. And then now we have a full engineering team, so I just work directly with them. So it's been a good transition, but gave me enough product understanding to be able to work with them really well now.
Wow. Very inspiring story.
I mean, YouTube University, you can learn anything. You can learn anything anymore now. Like, there's no excuse not to. It's
a good point.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like you were on this entrepreneurial path, like at a young age too, right? I mean, this was kind of, if you don't mind sharing some like stuff. I know that you were doing some duct tape wallets back in the day, and because I think it's like really inspirational to people out there, like to kind of see like where you started.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always wanted to create and pursue my own path. So my mom was an entrepreneur most of my life. Not my younger side of my life. She was worked at a bank, a local retail bank, and then she transitioned into being a mortgage broker, started her own business doing that. And so I was able to see her kind of going down her own path my whole life, working from home. And so I always knew that was kind of the direction I wanted to go as well. And so when I was really little, I was making duct tape wallets and selling them at school, just at recess out there. Didn't make a whole lot of money, but just selling duct tape wallets. And then a toy called a kendama, this Japanese string and ball toy, became super famous throughout my area of Washington when I was in middle school. So I would buy and paint and resell them constantly, or people would bring them to me and I would just paint them and then sell them back to them. So that ended up being a good business. But I remember my 7th grade, the superintendent or something stopped me, and they thought there was word in the office that I was dealing something that was not kendamas. So
like inside they're like breaking them apart.
Yeah, like I just had cash, and I was always pulling something out of my backpack. Someone would give me cash. They're like, what is that guy doing? So
like, what's this new street drug called?
Kendama. So that was good. And then in high school I made like a clothing line, and then started a chapstick line. That was one of my favorite things I ever created, because I used to have insomnia pretty bad. It would take me like 4 hours to fall asleep every night. And so I was like, well, my lips are under my nose, so if I put some some kind of essential oils into chapstick. Maybe I'll smell it and it'll help me go to bed. So I tried that, and that was kind of fun. It's called Goodnight Lips. So I worked on that for a little while. And then
Wait, did that not work out? That sounds like a good product.
Honestly,
right
I didn't push it as hard as I should have. I loved the making of it, and then I actually had like my first wholesale order that was on. I did some just direct consumer sales. First wholesale deal in high school. I should have. I wish I could go back, but I was like, I don't really want to be the chapstick guy my whole life. Like, I don't know if I want to. It was one of those moments from like, if I do this, I'm really doing this. And I decided I didn't want to like really do it.
I don't know if you caught it. He just whipped out his chapstick.
Yeah,
like right before you even got into that story.
So,
yeah, he could have been like, he's hooked.
Yeah, so, that was fun though. That was fun. And then in college, I realized that I wanted to do something that had more leverage to it and had a higher ability to impact. So I really started studying tech and started meeting a lot of friends that were working in tech and wanted to pursue that path. And then I kind of stayed with that after leaving school. I knew that was the avenue I would go down at some point. And then it took a couple years of toying around with different products before I came back to marrying the two worlds of, okay, I have spent the last 7 years in hospitality. I've now spent the last like 4 or 5 years working on different products. Like, why don't I just bring those together? And then once I did, then it's been a much more interesting road from there. So,
and you didn't have to take any startup money.
No, we've raised capital.
You did raise capital,
okay. Yeah, we have.
Just to bring on a team and really expand it.
Yeah, just the first version that I built was very well built for a single operation, but it wasn't something where we could work with, a company that has 100 locations or be able to take in the content from suppliers, and all that stuff was required a custom technology to do that. So we've spent most of our time and money over the last couple of years just rebuilding, retooling what was originally built, so that it can service the larger clients in this industry.
I mean, I don't know of anybody else that's trying to do something that is so service focused and education in service.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of competition on the peripheral, but nothing directly going after exactly what we're going after. And we, talking to a lot of investors, everyone wants you to be building something that can service anyone and everyone sometimes. Yeah. And I'm very like, no, I want to stay in this world, because there's a lot of specifics in food and beverage that are not the same for the sales process in other industries. Like, it's frontline education's important everywhere, but it's very different when it comes to food and bev. So we're trying to focus in on that for the long run.
Yeah, God, I hadn't even thought of that, because I'm sure that people would want to take a platform like that and try to utilize it across every product.
Yeah.
But we have a very interesting industry here where we have the 3-tier system. So it makes our ability to educate even that much harder. Yeah. We have to sell through a distributor in most cases, and we rely upon the distributor to make some placements and hopefully do some education. But you had mentioned dilution of information. Like, by the time it gets to a server that they got third, fourth hand knowledge, it's like Belgloss, it's got the red wax dip,
right. Yeah.
So yeah, they like, it just gets so lost. So I think I can see a huge future for this. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You said that you wanted to kind of stay in this restaurant hospitality realm with the application. Would it be possible for someone to be able to use the program just for their own thirst of knowledge, or like, because like Joe brought up like distributors, right? So maybe it's not made for them, but there's a way that they could maybe a distributor could benefit from it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The realm that we're staying in is food and bev, but it does not exclude, distributors, absolutely. General consumers, absolutely. Just the way we've built it is very much food and beverage will stay as the fore focus of it, but that means that anyone that's in that realm, so it could be a general consumer that just loves your wine and wants to tell at a dinner party that they're certified in it and wants to share stories about it. Great, use it. Go ahead and do that. Take your course.
Certified. I'm certified. Joe Wagner.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to make like it. Once you learn everything, you get the certified little sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that we've had a lot of requests around distributor education for sure. I just was talking to texting a buddy of mine in Seattle who's a distributor rep.
Yeah.
And he asked me to import his whole product book into a version of the app, which would, technically we built it to be for a hospitality operator, which is also way more broad than restaurants or bars or hotels. Like, cruise lines, airports, airplanes. We like to say anywhere that food and beverage is sold is where we would like NiteCapp to be present. That's primarily in the on-premise, but off-premise as well. Anywhere that it's important for somebody to know about a product, to be able to communicate it to another person. So it's pretty broad, but yeah, the distributor world is going to be a bigger and bigger lane for us because obviously the suppliers want their distributors to be more well educated to represent their products. And then this distributor in particular, he had to go and sell a new spirit, new gin to a new account that they just opened up. And he said he forgot the tasting notes for it. And he texted me, he's like, man, I really wish I had NiteCapp right now because I would have just searched it and I wasn't able to find it. And, I didn't get the right notes about it. So we're putting his product book into what would typically be a bartender or server focused version of the app. And he's able to utilize that as well. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had a foundation obviously in service bartending, and your experience in tech. You were able to put these things together and create kind of like the, first version of it, and now you have this much more robust version that's coming out.
Yeah.
But for all of the youngsters out there that are kind of like hearing this story from you and hopefully being inspired, how do you make money on this?
We sell to the hospitality chains, so typically those that are operating a beverage program, and then we monetize their side of the platform right now. So we're free to suppliers because we're sourcing content from them.
Okay.
So that's we treat them as partners in a sense, in the fact that we're trying to bring in content to then bring into those accounts. And then we're charging the large hospitality enterprises a monthly fee for them to use it across their whole portfolio. So that's our primary sales channel right now. And then we do have the ability to charge like per property basis if we're selling into an independent, but that's primarily for upcharges. So we're really trying to build out a large network with this. So if they're trying to if they're a independent restaurant selling Bell Glass, we want them to at least be able to use NiteCapp for free to access information about Bell Glass, so they can get it up and running. But if they want to access more premium features, then they can turn on a subscription for that.
Yeah, give them a taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And distributors, I assume, as well, would be they'd have a subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on how many users they had, how many reps they were running.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. I bet it's. I mean, I imagine the business model actually pans out pretty well as you scale it.
Yeah, definitely. It's been good so far. We're still pretty early on. We've done a lot of work in building out our distribution networks and building our platform and getting it to the point where it was ready to service these parties. And it's funny, like, that we spent so long building tools for the hospitality industry, and then once we saw the interest on the supplier side, that's what I think is going to be what really brings this to life, because that was the missing piece in my eyes. But it required us to spend a couple years building all these powerful tools for the hospitality side in order for us to easily just like open this up for suppliers to come in. But it was years of putting the foundations in place for us to now be able to do that and bring suppliers in to help push content to the frontline teams. So,
and as a supplier, how do you how do I edit? Do I have one person that is in charge of making sure all that information is correct or updated, and a username and private login?
Yeah, so it's private login. You'll have one person we call like the champion that owns the account, and their ability is to then add in as many managers as you want. So you can have as many of your team members using this platform as you want. We call it our supplier dashboard, and you log in and you essentially do three primary things. One is portfolio. So you upload all of your products into their various categories. We call them brand families and brands. So you kind of group them together, upload all the brand pages, and that way you're controlling all the information that frontline worker is going to end up seeing.
Got a little dashboard that we brought up here.
Yeah, so you can see the portfolio section there, and then
thank you, Art.
Yeah, and then you can manage courses and then manage videos. So those are the three primary things to do in the platform right now.
Okay.
So once your whole portfolio is uploaded, then if you go create a course, you can tag that course back to specific products. That way, if I'm looking at a product in the app, I can then go find a video about it or a course about it based on the tagging that you've done. So the first step, upload your portfolio, then create a course, and then create short form videos. You can upload as many of those videos as you want. And then the product is going to be discoverable from the video. And then the video is going to be discoverable from the product page as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of a nice like linked system that we've created with that.
Wow.
So
I think Joe kind of touched on this earlier, but I was curious if there was a future for it I'm trying to think of a better way to say it. It's not like tracking the servers or bartenders or anything, but you can, with analytics, not only see who's maybe completed certain tasks or whatever within that, but is there any kind of level of sales where they'd be able to track their sales with that? Be like, hey, I finished the Bell Gloss course this week. I sold this many. See that where you can see where your A players are at, so then maybe they can actually bring up the B players.
yeah, totally. It's just dependent on the operator because that's not always data that they want to give up. But if they want to, we can definitely do that. If they're willing to sell or to share that sales information with us, it just depends on who it is, what kind of POS system they have, and some of them are more protective than others around sales data. But that is a very important thing to be able to correlate, obviously. And as a supplier, though, you can already measure at least, how many views and how far along someone is in your courses. So you'll be able to see just based on correlating it with your case data from whatever distributor you're working with. Like, okay, I saw in that account that they have 1,000 views of my video for that week. Like, did that or did that not have an impact on the amount of cases that they depleted over this 3-month time period? So you already can sort of do some of that tracking, but if there's specific operator accounts that are willing to share it, then we can go get even more granular with the details of sales data.
Is there also feedback tracking? So, for example, Joe makes a video and they're like, God, this is horrible. He needs to practice. He needs to learn how to talk to people.
I'm going to give him a recommendation.
Yeah. Give him some little notes back and forth. Like,
there is feedback.
Like there is
feedback.
feedback.
It comes to us, though, right now. So it comes to our company. It doesn't go directly to the supplier or anything. That's an interesting idea, though.
So then you have this awkward phone call with Joe? Like, do you
guess
call
so.
him up and you're like, hey,
probably. In that case.
He's good.
We do have comments, so maybe people can just comment on your video.
You get comments, dude.
You do have comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so the supplier can actually see what the frontline workers.
Yeah, we are.
That's cool.
We're still testing that. We have it on and off, depending on the group that we're working with. Some people, as you guys know, this is a very regulated industry on all sides. And so a lot of the hospitality operators we work with, like, they're concerned about any kind of user inputted content. So for that, we've removed comments in some cases. So we're still kind of working through what that's going to look like. It's available to the general consumer. If they're using the platform, they can comment on it. But it's on an operator by operator basis, whether those certain features will be on. So we've had to build NiteCapp in a way that you can turn off things, edit things, depending on who we're engaging with.
Nobody wants to get in trouble with those tight house rules and whatever else.
Yeah, and depending on each state too, California, Texas, like everything's different. Labor laws, like we had to build in geofencing capabilities because in some cases you can't have a worker access NiteCapp when they're outside of your physical property. So we can go into that account and turn on a fence around their property. So that way, anytime they leave, and even if they try to access the app in their car, it wouldn't work until they physically walk back into the building. And we had to build that for an operator that has a bunch of locations in California. And they're like, there's no way that my team, I'm not going to give them access to this because I'm going to end up getting hit with all these lawsuits of people asking me to pay them for, hey, I used NiteCapp for 2 hours last night at home, and now you owe me 2 more hours of time of training. So there's a lot of it's not everywhere that does that.
Some lawyer had to think of that one.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some interesting cases that we have had to build in a lot of tools to be able to navigate.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
I guess some people just, rightfully so, overprotect themselves.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Got to. You're operating a
you owe
huge
me for
portfolio.
2 more hours of work. I was on
It's on
NiteCapp last night.
I was on NiteCapp. For
Yeah.
3
Like just sitting there,
hours.
taking a shower, NiteCapp on.
Most of the
Yeah,
time
you're just
it's not
leaving
a-
the video on, and just getting paid.
Yeah, not always an issue, and hopefully not an issue with too many accounts. But if it is an issue, we have provisions for those kind of things too. So
Yeah, I mean, but then you're also saying you got to be on site and working to do extra hours to get the education through NiteCapp.
for those specific properties
specific, yeah.
in those specific locations, yeah. So
Huh.
had to think through a lot of things though in this.
I was gonna ask, like, how long were you working on it until you launched?
Is this really the end? Unbelievable. Find out next week.